the mic here isn't going to get closer.
What's your name and what was your position and the name of the base where you worked?
Yeah, I'm Barry King. I worked as a security enforcement officer at a base AL499 Peasmore over in Berkshire.
And when did you work there and for how long?
Well, 2 short terms. I began in August of 79 through to January of 80, and again November 80 to January 81.
Did you notice anything strange going on at that base?
Well, there were many things that you could call strange, although at the time it was just part and parcel of the work that was undertaken there. A lot had to do with mind control, reprogramming people psychologically, testing of people involving genetics and the creation of life forms.
What type of life forms?
Well, these were small grey, your typical greys in fact, they were producing.
How many of them? What sort of kind?
Hundreds, you're talking hundreds. They were in 3 stages at the time. To maturity, very tiny people.
So they were primarily 4 feet or under in size?
Yeah, 3.5 to 4 feet, yes.
Describe them in more detail.
Again, basically your typical grey, although the main difference being the eyes. The beings produced at Peasmore had perfectly round eyes as opposed to the big black wraparound eyes reported countless times in abduction scenario.
And were they programmed or were they working on their own or what?
No, they're programmed by central computer systems. So whatever their tasks were, they were programmed and sent out.
And what were they used for?
In my labs, military abductions.
And were these abductions carried out at Peasmore or were they carried out at another base?
A lot were carried out at Peasmore, some were actually done in the field in various locations around the UK and of course yes, other bases.
And what was being done or what organization was involved in keeping you from releasing this information?
Primarily the NSA. The project name was Puppet Master. It stemmed from an older project going back to the 50s. That is still an ongoing project.
And what's that name?
Puppet Master. The mannequin project is the name.
The earlier one?
Yeah, that is Puppet Master.
What relevance does it have with today, or do you know?
Well, the vast increase in the reports of military abductions as opposed to alien abductions, you'll find perhaps 60-70% of abductions reported worldwide will probably be my labs. It involves an ongoing genetic project run by the governments of the UK, Canada and the States. Genetically monitoring people from a very early age. So I've virtually been involved since I was 3 or 4 years old. I was dragged into this mannequin project as a byproduct of being involved in the survey, so they literally knew me from a child. One of their primary aims, you're going to have to endure being in all manner of hostile environments. I mean, obviously, those that are perfected will go on to be literally super beings. The trip seat, that's the chair that you're placed in. You are interfaced with the main computer systems. You are reprogrammed in that seat. All security staff at Peasmore undergo the same treatment as most of the subjects. They use in the trip seat. You're placed in that, you're strapped in, you are subject to various procedures, drug-induced, hypnosis, virtual reality to such a high degree of technology.
What sort of virtual reality were you exposed to?
They can produce an abduction scenario right in front of your eyes within one of the labs at the base. With the drugs and the hypnosis combined with the technologies used there, you believe you are going through an abduction scenario there and then at that moment in time.
And how long have they had this technology?
Well, I was there in 79, 80, and it'd already been perfected then. So by now, 20 years later, I really couldn't hazard a guess as how far that's progressed. 499 Peasmore. A base such as Peasmore is literally not going to be too easily found.
How do you get access to it?
Access used to be at 4 points, it's now only at 3. Harwell, Watchfield and IF Welford. Greenham Common used to be one of the main access points, but that's been closed down for some years now.
Do you have any information that this base at RAF Bentwaters, anything to say on
Well,
this?
the closest connection I can easily come up with is the 1980 famous Rendlesham case, December 1980. The NSA were heavily involved that night. The software and the hardware would have been brought in from Peasmore for that purpose. It was a psychological thing.
And the program generated life forms?
They would have been used.
But they were also at Rendlesham, were they?
So you're saying that the Rendlesham Forest event, the 3 nights of events which happened here, was a military-induced...
It was a cyber thing, yeah.
So it wasn't actually an alien thing?
Not in the true sense of alien as in extraterrestrial, no.
So it was a staged military...
A carefully planned and staged military thing, yeah.
And it involved psychotronic technology or the psychor?
I don't like using the word psychotronics, which gives it a rather science fiction, airy fairy feel, but certainly technologies that would have an impact on the psychologies of people involved, yeah. So, I mean, people would come away thinking...
And we're talking about the event happening way over there, really, as far as the camera can see, really, roughly speaking, behind those buildings.
So these machines would put thoughts in people's minds? Or
putting it very basically.
how would you characterize it?
They would see things that are not really there. They would experience things. I mean, Larry Warren and one or two others mentioned the highly charged atmosphere, their skin tingling, hair standing on end. That would be all part and parcel of the machinery, yeah, brought in.
So you're saying that the Bentwaters events which happened here between the Rendlesham Forest case was a MyLab situation?
More of a cyborg, yeah. It was done on a psychological level to permanently imprint on the airmen here at the time to believe that went through.
What do you know which would be the ultimate purpose of such experiments and tests and demonstrations?
Literally to use on an enemy at some stage. You can get an enemy to believe that they've been invaded by an alien life form and using technology way beyond their understanding. You've got the edge on that enemy. And
what sort of physical size or state were these beings in? I mean,
well,
were
they
they
looked very small and very frail. I mean, at one stage, I even picked one up and hoisted it over my shoulder just to see how heavy, and it weighed virtually nothing at all.
How did it respond when you picked it up?
It didn't. If you imagine, well, it's just like picking up a child who's asleep. There's no response at all. It hadn't been programmed yet.
How were they fed and how were they programmed?
Don't need feeding. There's no...
well, how do they grow?
I'm not on that technical side of things, that I wouldn't know, but seeing them in their 3 different development stages is, you know...
What was stage number 1? Can you describe each stage?
Well, they're all kept in different sort of environments, from the small
what type of environment?
tiddlers right up to the large, the big uns as we call them. When they're fully grown, they're the big uns. They start off as tiddlers. Again, it's much easier to draw or show a drawing I've done rather than describe the different containers they were in.
Were they in some kind of...
People think ultimately of little glass jars filled with little liquid, but it wasn't that. It wasn't it.
Just like babies in incubation units in a hospital?
That would be closer to it, yeah. I mean, people imagine these little Frankensteinian glass jars lined up on a shelf. There's nothing like that at all.
Hi, I'm Lisa Williams.
And Barry King. Well, for the last 18-19 months I've been trying to get some information out to the public, information regarding a certain secret installation over in Berkshire, the base. At the base they run a social manipulation program, includes brainwashing, genetic engineering, genetic experimentation. They've also been involved in creating life forms there for quite some time. The program is behind a lot of the abductions that take place. A lot of abductions are military organised and executed. I was involved with this program between the years 72 and 88. With the help of some defence intelligence people, I managed to get out away from the program, and with their help a lot of information, as I say, has been passed out now to the public since February of last year.
Trying to know about it.
Well, basically because certain people within the structure of that program don't like what's going on. Defence intelligence said, well, how about a slow but sure way, release some newsletters over a period of time. So that's how the voice was born, as security officer.
So that gave you access to all
limited, yeah. I mean, obviously there were certain levels of security. I had two different levels, 9 and 31. The higher number, the higher clearance you get. So obviously after a while I was allowed to see different areas, certainly of the base. And by the time December 79 came round, then yes, I'd had a pretty good picture of the whole base.
So what sort of scale are we dealing with here?
Well, again, during that time frame, the underground part of the base, it was 450 yards by 650 yards and going down 6 levels.
So that's about 600 feet?
It's quite big. I think there's 50, 60 feet between each level, so it's going down quite some.
Yes, of course.
But I was told during the mid-80s that had been worked on anyway. I mean, they could have doubled the size of the place by then.
They'd split
very
about
easily.
8 or 9 now.
Yeah, very easily. Could have been doubled. There could be a dozen levels by now.
So these bases were obviously created during the Cold War for government and things. Just
well, this one was completed. I mean, they used an old base in Hampshire from the 50s onwards. That was an old wartime base. Too small, and the facilities weren't so good there. So they actually, in the 60s and 70s, they made use of another existing base close by until this Peasmore was completed.
So how are these bases interlinked?
They are, yeah.
Yeah.
By tunnels or?
Yeah, tunnels. Again, see, what you'll find with Peasmore is, because it's virtually 99% underground, you're going to see very little on the surface. But you're going to get to one of the adjoining bases, and it's from that adjoining base that you get to Peasmore. So one or two people have actually been over to Berkshire recently to do a bit of scouting around. So in the trip seat now, basically, you're interfacing with very powerful computers.
Was that manufactured by ITT? Do you have any idea?
I couldn't say.
And what sort of time scale are we dealing with here?
Well, again, I'm basing most of this between, as I say, 79 and 81. 81 was literally the end of it. The information I've been led to believe, from what I've seen myself at the base, yes, there is some cooperation going on, but it's not in a nice, friendly manner that we're all led to believe, like at Dulce. Yeah, we're all shaking hands, we'll do this, and it doesn't work that way. Yeah,
it's not like
that at all.
No.
So what is it like?
Well,
the pair of you, I mean...
You give the official view, I'll give the Grays view.
Well, the military, they got to a stage when we thought we'd get hold of as much of their technology as possible and then virtually stab them in the back.
Yeah, that's it.
That basically was it. So it just hasn't worked.
So surely if you're dealing with a higher evolved life form, you don't double cross them, surely?
But
not a good idea.
You see, what it is that the military, they know damn well the Greys are generated life forms, if you want to call them that. They're genetically engineered slaves. Now, there's no way that you present, it doesn't matter if that alien is much more intelligent than you, it might have an IQ of 1,000. if you are looking at something that's been genetically grown to serve, you're not going to think that's superior to you.
No.
The military, the elite are turning around thinking, well, hey, look, they're not human. I mean, we're not dealing with the Pleiadians here who put us all to shame, physically and every other which way. We're dealing with greys. They don't look human, they don't behave in a human way, they threaten everything we stand for. If we think to ourselves, well, let's just get as much technology as we can and just fuck them, destroy them.
Basically, that's it in a nutshell.
But basically, what the greys want to do is to actually, because they're helping create the generated life forms, they've given us the technology whereby we can do this in return for various other bits and pieces like human tissue, because they've got their own agenda and it involves crossbreeding with us. They want to become an official race.
Now,
but the greys are going to get the generated life forms to stab the military in the back, so everyone's out to screw everyone else.
Yeah, it's one hell of a weird business. I mean, the military are responsible for so many abductions.
Yeah.
But they're getting it across to people you've been abducted by.
Aliens.
Nasty out there. They created, as I said, there's certain types of generated life forms of space. It scared the life out of me when I first saw these, obviously. You see these things, and so many of them.
Are they in jars or?
Well, they start, obviously, because they've got to start somewhere. I mean, there's a process. I mean,
grow them.
On that level, there's the process. But
like what I wrote in my book, innit?
Yeah, the storage areas where they've literally got all the fully grown ones, all ready to get shipped out. Oh, they're going to go to a certain location, do a certain job. Yeah, these row after row after row. And I tell you, it's spooky. It's very spooky just looking at them. I mean,
the eyes are empty.
These massive big eyes.
And they're so
weird.
empty.
Yeah,
no, but then bunkers built for bureaucrats is old news, isn't it?
There's a little procedure where it prevents anyone from doing that. These are minds that only the program can read.
I can practice telepathy in some cases. I can do it. I've done it before.
But I thought I was willing you, come on, pick up something. But I thought
I didn't.
You wouldn't be able to, unfortunately, because they block that. I mean, that's another aside.
Like the old Tommy knockers and the piece of metal in the head.
Yeah.
You know, But I mean, some of the stuff. I mean, I was finding this outrageous.
Okay, it's come from various people over the last year or so that. Yeah, there's a base in Berkshire, and these people, they've rung me, and they've had visions of being connected to a base, and they've come straight out, and it's always been Berkshire.
Yeah.
It's never been Oxfordshire, Wiltshire, Somerset, Devon, wherever. They've always said Berkshire. And, what have you got? They've got fleeting images of being taken there in a car.
Oh, I have nothing like that.
And they've had this done to them, had that done to them, and then that's it. Then it's blanked off. I've done these weeks ago.
Yeah.
And
is that a triangle?
Well, there's
bloody no.
There's Peasmore,
and it's pretty much near there, isn't it?
There's the Vale of the White Horse.
Can you hold it up?
Yeah.
Oh wow! There is a triangle there.
A bit windy, but
with the names he gave me.
Yes, as I said, that's why I was a bit worried. No, as I say, I photocopied this a few weeks ago.
I'll have some Smarties.
Started spreading it around.
Want to hold it up?
Well, if you can. Imagine, right, they're using this shell husk, so they can actually put into that whatever they want.
So some of them are part human. So you see, the Bill of Human Rights has to be amended if we're to cater for these little beings.
Yeah, but I think they'd have a hell of a job doing that.
That's what my article's about, isn't it, Freud? Who's that? So, I don't think it is a matter that we're working, matter of working very hand in glove with the aliens and very sort of lovey-dovey, we like you, you like us kind of thing. So I don't see that it is aliens actually doing that. We have obviously had ongoing, dealings with aliens, but we're obviously trying to get things for our own purposes.
The project name in this country is Mannequin. The guy who runs it, they go by the code name of Sentinel. Sentinel is Mr. Whitemore, he's in charge. Sam's, he runs the security. He does the whole lot, and I was answerable too. That's a private security. Yeah, they're the actual ones that do the security around the whole area.
Wow.
That's all. Okay. Over the last 2 years, I've been producing some documents called The Voice. This details an NSA-run mass mind manipulation program in this country. This program also involves microchipping individuals, genetic engineering and experimentation, and is run from a base deep in the Berkshire countryside. I've been involved with this program for a number of years now. In fact, I was first inducted in 1972. I worked at the base, which is located underground at Peasmore in Berkshire, as a security officer.
What size of base is this?
Well, when I was there, the complex itself was approximately 450 yards by 650 yards, but obviously since then it's probably doubled in size.
And how many levels?
6 levels. They were the main levels.
And how far would they be down underground?
The deepest point would have been about a mile. I only had access to a certain amount of information, so I only know about those 6 levels.
So, starting from scratch, how did you get involved with the base?
Well, I was sort of manoeuvred into working there as opposed to just being a guinea pig, like many thousands of others. So it was a manoeuvred opportunity by the NSA to get me into the base where they could keep an eye on me, as well as to actually take part in the security procedures.
So did you apply to the Ministry of Defence? Or?
Oh, no. I was approached direct by the controllers of the programme.
Why? I mean, why did your name come out of the hat? Did you win the Reader's Digest competition?
That would have been a nice way around it. No, I was also a participant in a government-run survey. Since I was a child, this survey is ongoing. And by 1972, when the survey actually started to link hand in hand, if you like, with the programme, I was monitored very closely from 72 onwards. So by 79.
By who?
The survey is run by the governments of 3 main countries. That's the UK, the USA and Canada. This survey is actually run from Harwell, who have very close links, as I said, with Peasmore.
What sort of links does Harwell have with Peasmore?
Because a lot of genetic engineering and experimentation takes place, obviously Harwell is the main place of the survey. They have direct links because the guinea pigs that are taken to Peasmore and used for experimentation engineering, there's obviously a direct link with Harwell and a number of other establishments, such as Portland Down.
And where else?
Watchfield, over in Oxfordshire, the military science place over there. Greenham Common is also linked, so is Boscombe Down. Boscombe Down is used mainly for the import and export of the hardware used by the programme.
What sort of hardware are they dealing with then?
Well, we're talking here, the hardware is actually super stealth type aircraft.
So altogether quite normal technology?
I wouldn't use the word normal technology.
Secret but advanced?
Very advanced. I mean, some of the machinery they've got is advanced to a level where you could say that certainly an alien technology was involved at one stage.
So why would that suggest, I mean, surely we're pretty intelligent ourselves.
When we're talking in terms of the technology that people have had a glance at over at Groom Lake, Area 51, it's that sort of technology we're talking about. The hardware used is the hardware being tested at Groom Lake. It's been tested here in the UK since the mid-60s. I mean, they used areas around Salisbury Plain in the 60s, hence all the reports around Warminster at the time.
Yeah.
That was the hardware being tested.
So what kind of hardware are we talking about? Flying discs, alien spacecraft, Rob Lazar type stuff?
Well, not
a sport model?
Well, I couldn't go as far as actually, yeah, the S4 type thing. But certainly disc-shaped aircraft, triangular-shaped aircraft. I do know for a fact that under the NATO banner, one of the hardware devices used since the mid-80s is a triangular craft, quite large, hover capabilities, usually silent. That's been test flown in many Western European countries, including Belgium.
So that is our military, but
that's
derived
our military, yes. They're our devices, yeah.
So, getting back to Harwell, what influence or what part does that play in the programme?
because there's a lot of genetic engineering and experimentation, let's use the word alteration and modification, perhaps would be more like it.
Is that conducted on humans?
It is, yes.
So how does one actually realise that or know it?
You don't actually realise you're part of the program or the survey. Most participants in the survey are active from early childhood. You undergo more medical checkups, more x-rays, more blood tests. You are taken to various establishments, usually Harwell itself, that's the main one, and you are monitored biologically, medically throughout your life. As I say, this is ongoing.
So what key factor are they looking for?
I think what they're trying to produce in the long run is a super being.
So is this derived back to the World War II experiments that Hitler did?
Certainly the paperclip scientists, yeah, who were captured by the Americans, mostly taken over to the USA. Certainly that sort of experimentation has carried on since the late 40s. Yeah.
So you started at this base when?
I started work in August, September of 1979, and that carried on until about Christmas of 79. It came to a stage when they needed to physically do something about the way I was becoming aggressive and trying to get away from the program.
What is this program you're talking about?
Well, this is mind manipulation, genetic engineering, as I said. They use, because UFO research plays about 50% of the program's activities. They use a lot of researchers, they use psychics. They stage abductions, so that's where the military abductions come in. They actually have...
So the military are doing these abductions and the aliens are doing it?
I wouldn't say the aliens aren't doing it. Obviously there is ample evidence to suggest that there are alien abductions, but certainly the military take more than their fair share. Yeah.
Head pounding. It's really eerie calm here. It's almost unreal.
Well, Lisa, what do you think is going on here? This is near RAF Peasemore, the underground alien facility,
Something
alleged.
horrible. I mean, nobody can confirm, you know, or whatever, or deny what Barry's saying is going on and what I was told was going on, but something nasty is happening. It's horrible. It's just, there's a feeling of, when we first started coming towards the base, I started getting a really pounding headache. And right by it, the headache is really bad. I had to shut my eyes for a while, and then getting further away from it, it goes away again. It's totally weird here. It's like deathly quiet.
And what is Peasemore?
Peasemore is an NSA stroke United States Air Force secure installation. It's a subsurface base at Peasemore. On all official documents, Peasemore is the name they use. It's the closest village. I mean, the very edge of the base would be directly under, within 2 miles of the village of Peasemore.
So where did the NSA originally set the place up?
They used, previous to Peasemore, they used another base, which unfortunately I'm not at liberty to say where that base is at the moment. The people who are assisting, who want to see this information got out, are a section of British intelligence. They are the Defence Intelligence section. But it's got to a stage when they realise that the NSA are literally going to take over the intelligence network, not only in this country, but virtually, in the end, the whole world. They
So
don't
who runs the
that.
NSA? Is it the reptilians or what?
No one knows. They're this faceless bunch of characters who are above the NSA. No one knows who they are. but certainly the NSA have got more than enough clout, so everyone...
So the British defence people are getting a bit peeved off that...
They're getting worried. I mean, the programme diverted some years ago to a very sinister side when they were using spare parts from humans. They were abducting people. A lot of these people never saw the light of day again. They were used as spare parts.
That's like the film Coma?
Very like the film Coma. In fact, that sort of regional hospital policy where they get taken to a certain operating theatre, and that's the termination room. Well, think of that laterally, and that is what happens at Harwell and Peasmore. Various individuals are abducted, taken there, they never come out again. They're used as nice, healthy specimens.
Again, are they genetically selected for any particular reason, or are we just dealing with a relatively random catch?
In the beginning, it was just, yeah, a random thing. I mean, anyone would do. I mean, obviously, we can get a number of good spare parts from this person, all well and good. But then they started to get very fussy. The only grey, now, if we use the term grey as an alien being, was those that actually were around the base at the time.
Right.
At the
so
base,
how many are you talking about greys at Peasmore then?
I've only seen 2 greys at Peasmore.
Right.
The
And
rest,
what do they look like?
Well, the typical picture everyone gives. Very small, very frail, large heads, very dark, wraparound eyes.
And were they escorted by military personnel?
Escorted by military and NSA personnel.
And were there any reptilians in there as
On
well?
one occasion I did see, yes, what I would call reptilian.
So how different are they to the greys?
Totally different. These are much bigger, much stronger. They gave an aura of, strength and power, as if you don't mix with these.
So these
characters.
as big as a man or bigger? Or?
Certainly bigger than, a good 6 inches taller than me, so well
Right.
over 6 foot, yeah.
Yeah,
I think
reptilian.
it was more like a case of they could just walk around there as if they owned the place. That was just the assumption.
So they were not escorted? The reptilians were not escorted?
The reptilians, although obviously everyone in the base is, let's use the word loosely, escorted, but I think it was more a case of the reptilians were escorting the NSA personnel around the base.
You mentioned something about a trip seat in the voice
Yeah,
documents.
there is an area of the base called the labs and electronic areas. Situated in the labs are devices which are called trip seats. Now these are very large chairs connected to very advanced computer systems, and a guinea pig is strapped to this chair. You are interfacing directly with the computers. During this interfacing, the individual is then programmed by the personnel at the base to literally do whatever they want you to do. It's advanced psychotronics.
So how does this programming take place and what does it involve?
Again, depending on what tasks they want that individual to perform at some stage. I mean, it's... If you've seen the film Telephone, a 1977 film, sleeper agents, for want of a better term, were activated by a simple single telephone call. They were given a phrase over the telephone. Immediately, the
For assassination or?
I suppose they could be used for that, although I don't really see why there'd be such a need. On the trip seat, as I say, you're interfacing with the computers. You've got a very big wraparound screen in front of you. This is holographic. There are also a special helmet and visor placed on your head. So literally all images, subliminal images that come through. They use the EBL.
What's that?
Electronic brain link.
What does that involve?
Well, that involves the images directly being converted from the computers into images acceptable by the brain. They're implanted, they're held there until activated at a later time by...
So is this a direct electrical connection to your mind or induced?
You are connected directly to the seat, which, as I say, comes through the computer. So yeah, you're interfacing. Literally, it's man and machine as one.
So is there any psychic use for this? Or?
They use mostly psychics there. They enhance anyone with any level of psychic ability. If they can make use of that. I mean, the military use people for remote viewing targets in military installations in other countries. So anyone with any trace of psychic ability in them, yeah, they'll enhance that considerably. PK, remote viewing, and a number of other bits and pieces.
So are they able to see what you're seeing in your head, or is it just a one-way thing into you?
They can't actually not visually see what you're seeing. They just know what they're pumping through to you, so they virtually know what's happening anyway.
So how do they know that you...
Well, they give simple tasks first, like say 2 days after being in the trip seat, then they'll set you a task, and if you can perform that task 100%, they know it's worked, and then they can actually program more sophisticated tasks for you at a later date. Well, during 1988, I underwent a truck stop event. This is where the Defence Intelligence people came into the scene, 1988. Because they've got access to exactly the same techniques used by the program at Peasmore, they brought me out of the post-hypnotic blocks.
So they reversed the process?
They reversed the process virtually, gave back a lot of the information. There's still a lot blocked, but they decided that, yeah, they'll reverse as much as suited them for information to be released. So, yeah, I got a lot of conscious recall after they reversed the situation, and they've sort of filled in so many gaps since.
Such as what?
Well, physically going back to the base.
Which entrance did you use to get into the base?
Bravo, mainly. That's Green and Common.
Green and Common. Which, we were there recently. Now that's through one of the large hangars?
Yeah.
Or the underground bunkers, rather?
Yeah.
So, what other things did they do to, and how was that involved? Did they do that in the truck when you had the truck, or did they take you somewhere else? And...
Well, the truck stop event, I mean, I was, because I was still under the control of the electronic brain link, so, and DIA having access to exactly the same...
So how did that work? How are you under the control of the brain link?
Well, that's where that...
the implant?
The implant. They needed someone. As I say, I think they saw it as to suit their purposes. They needed someone to start getting some information. It was a case of information was then given to me, which included a load of photographs, maps, codes. I was to hide that documentation and retrieve it at a later time.
So that's maps and codes and photographs?
Maps, codes, photographs of the base. Everyone's been asking for,
yeah.
Under the, yeah, it's
because even though, I mean, the solicitor is going to be somebody who, you know, maybe doesn't want to get into trouble. Then again, he may be of a similar mind to like me or you or Chris or, you know, Miles, in so much as he'll say, well, sod the government, you know, I don't care about the secrecy. No, I have these documents. No, I'm prepared to talk. I mean, we're in a situation where we don't know what this guy is like. Do you say he won't, or you're not really sure?
I would say 99%. I'm 99% sure he wouldn't have anything to do.
Yeah.
Just by mentioning the fact that, or you perhaps had on security certain documents for a certain party, and these were taken back by... I don't think it'd even admit to that. There's a November. And yeah, I mean, this is, I mean, even though this seems innocent enough, I've also got to watch myself that whatever I might say, I really don't know where this might be going. Now, no offence, but I know Matt from talking to him several times on the phone. Now, for all I know, you could be an MI5 agent sitting there. Obviously not, but you just never know. So I've got to be a little bit wary. Even though I'm being pushed to give out information all over the place,
yeah,
I'm still going to be bloody damn careful on just in case it goes to the wrong places. And then suddenly one day I'm going to wake up and there's going to be a little bit of a problem.
The point, yeah, you've got to be some sort of evidence to there being an underground facility at Peasmore. I know you say
it depends on what sort of evidence. Now this is where I'm going to come back, because okay, I know the damn place is there. So many other people know the damn place is there. Now, this is the only thing that really bugs me, because I can't physically go over there and say, well, look, right, let's dig 200 foot down and the damn thing's just down there. Now, you've obviously got to have physical entrances or access points. Now, I've already highlighted where these access points are. You've got breather units, or the filter systems, which are going to be scattered around the area where the base itself is. Now, because for several reasons I can't personally get over to Berkshire and actually scout around myself, I've actually told people, what, you've been given the general location of the place, scout around yourself. Even if you have to go into farm buildings, I mean, I haven't the faintest idea what's there. I mean, other than describing the pub that I do recall on a number of occasions going to, and Miles kept saying, there's no pub there, and I was really getting fed up. He couldn't find the pub, and I knew it was there.
And then one day we found it. So.
But, you know, as for the filtration units, they could even be in innocuous places like farm buildings. I really wouldn't know. I mean, this is where I come back very hard and think, well, okay, I'm asking you to swallow a lot here, but at the same time, what we're getting from the States is this and more, and people are accepting it, you know, blindly. Yeah, no problem. I mean, like,
some people are accepting it.
Okay, some people are, but a hell of a lot are just saying, well, oh, okay, let's try and find Dulcie. Now, yeah, I mean, what proof has anyone got that Dulcie exists?
Well, the base actually exists, but it's just whether level 13 exists, isn't it?
Well, really, I've never seen any proof whatsoever that Dulcie exists. Me personally.
Right, yeah.
Okay, if others have seen some sort of evidence, fair enough. Yeah. I personally haven't. So when I'm trying to get across to everyone, what the hell can I do? What evidence can I provide anyone to prove the damn place exists?
Yeah.
There's nothing I can do. I'm up against a brick wall every time. I'm down a dark alley. I can't prove anything whatsoever. Perhaps this is how it's supposed to be. I can't prove a damn thing.
Well, if the message was supposed to get out to people, but it would, you know, they didn't want you to prove your point. They just wanted the message to get out, so that one day they'd find out what you're saying is right. I mean, that's one feasible explanation. But I mean, there's got to be something from your own point of view.
Yeah, but as I'm not the only one who's coming forward with this,
yeah.
I mean, there are a number of other, well, ex-guinea pigs, let's use that term.
Yeah.
Because that's one they keep using.
Like who? I haven't heard anybody.
Well, people are slowly but surely coming forward saying they've been abducted, but not by the aliens. They've been abducted by what seems to be military personnel. They're describing certain locations which could well tie in with Peasmore. The more people come forward and actually, because you've got this smoke screen cover of an alien abduction, go through that deeper regression, and you're going to come out with the military ones.
Do you have any particular names of anyone?
I don't go out and about doing abduction investigations anymore. So.
But you think there are these people who are saying that?
I know there are.
But you carry something around with you all the time that is a form of proof.
Oh, yeah, the 2 implants.
Yeah.
They're going to be very clever. You've got a knife, we'll dig them out.
Yeah, but you've got them, and they're still there.
Yeah.
And you consider them, you know, sort of detectable in some fashion. You know they're inside you.
Detectable in some fashion. This is where we come up again with another. Right.
Do you think they could be found, either through surgery, X-ray?
Well, not straight X-rays, because no, not the way they place them. Now, the way in the sternum is placed just behind the bone, so an ordinary X-ray wouldn't find that one anyway.
Right. Have you tried?
Oh no. Well, I've had a number of chest X-rays done when this was playing up.
Yeah.
But again, this is where we're going to get. Again, this sounds very silly to a lot of people. Now, the survey database. Yeah. They cover all regional hospitals. Everything that guinea pigs go to hospital for, that's going to eventually find its way on that database. So I could go to hospital, some complaint, like a set of X-rays taken. Yeah, sure, no problem. Get these taken. Even if they detect something, I'm sure on those notes there's going to be something that, well, no, look, see, no problem there at all. That's the way it works.
There's a lot. I mean, does it really worry you that you know, you've got a claim that sounds out maybe to some
totally
people
outrageous?
Yeah?
Yeah.
But there's a lot of people out there who are going to find it outrageous. Does it offend you that they do? Would it matter?
I personally couldn't give a monkey's whether they believe it or not.
It's just that when certain people come along and say, well, I wouldn't believe this because of this and because of that, no. Oh no, you know, if for a valid reason, you can say it's totally outrageous, but if you're going to nitpick, then no, that does, get right my nose, and I won't have that at all.
What other activity happened there as such?
Well, as I say, they've got their own created life forms.
Yeah, the programmable, the PGLFs.
The PGLFs, so...
And how many of them are there, and what sort of quantity are we dealing with?
I would imagine hundreds, I mean, of each.
So how many did you
three
see?
Stages.
Right.
The tiny fetus-like stage ones.
And how are they generated? So what did you see as such?
They're in like racks or pods, if you like.
Yeah.
And there's row upon row of each of the 3 stages. Stage 2 and 3 use the same type of large rack.
Yeah.
And they're in certain pods. And there's obviously row and row and row on each level.
What sort of size of container are we dealing with?
The larger racks are about 40 foot long, 6 foot by 4 foot or thereabouts.
Is this in some kind of a clinical ward or factory type environment? Or?
Oh no, well no, it's more like a warehouse. I mean, literally they are stores. They call them the racks, the sheds.
Yeah.
And that's, row after row, these things are just stored there for use.
These things are alive, obviously, but they're in a sleep state, or? I mean, you mentioned before that you could actually walk up to them and you'd see an expression on them. Was that the human ones?
Because they're programmed directly from the central computer systems, literally anything that goes in, they're programmed to go and do. They haven't literally minds of their own as such, but you can get something out of them. I mean...
In what way?
Well, it was a bit of a standing joke between the 4 British security guards there, but there was something strange about the faces of these little creatures. And 2 of them were joking one afternoon and saying, well look, you get a screwdriver and you just carefully prise off this black thing on his face.
Right, so you can walk up to them and you can touch them.
Well, you can pick one up, literally shove it over your shoulder. They're so small and light, but very, very strong. You know, they are very, very strong and very... you could literally, go and pick one up.